Hey, good afternoon. Hey, this week we have some job market updates, and those folks that are in the transitory camp are sure out screaming right now. So we'll talk all about inflation as well. My name is Brandon Steele, financial advisor with Mainsail Financial Group here in Bellevue. And our goal each week is just bring you kind of the market updates, weed out some of the noise, and really talk about the stuff that that really impacts you moving forward. So hope everybody is doing well and staying cool. It's like 90, I think it's like 95 degrees here already at about 3 o'clock on Thursday. So it's getting hot again here. I think it's supposed to hit 100 this weekend. So hope you can stay cool. And let's kind of jump right into it. Last week, this is like the big one of the big things that we'll touch on right out of the gate. As you guys know, if you follow, last week we had talked about non-farm payrolls coming out on Friday. And in fact, it did. It was a very good number. We added about 943,000 jobs versus the expectation of somewhere around 850 or so. On top of that, unemployment rate was at about 5.4%. So that's been coming down recently, which is really good to see. And again, that jobs number was great to hear, especially after some of the ADP employment numbers we got earlier in the week. I think it's fair to say had maybe some of us a little spooked on that. So very happy to see a good jobs number. And, hopefully you guys were on the optimistic side of that equation there. I'm really curious though. So something else on Monday, we had job openings numbers come out, and it's a huge number. There's 10.1 million job openings right now. And so I'm kind of curious from you guys, anybody who is in a position that's near hiring, maybe a business owner or somebody in recruiting or something along those lines, or if you're out looking for work, I'd just love to hear your perspective on how this has been, if it's been hard to find work, if you find it easy, what has been the challenge, because there is very, very clearly a huge gap between job openings and those who are actually finding work. Again, although we have unemployment coming down, it's still pretty high. And we've got a lot of jobs still to place. So I'd love to get your perspective if you're anywhere near that. I know we've had some challenges ourselves, but we'd just love to hear kind of everybody's perspective and see where they're running into issues as well from both sides. Anyways, we'll move on. So again, Monday we had job openings up. It was a huge number, that 10.1 million. So, hopefully that's a good sign, I guess, that we'll be getting more people to work, but we got to fill those jobs obviously too. And then yesterday, we had consumer price index numbers come out at 0.5%. So people called this a slow, a slow increase in our consumer price index. In other words, inflation. If you look at that, the annualized number, I think it's like 5.4% right now, something right around there. That number alone shows a 6% rate. So it's really funny because we heard so many people yesterday, Wednesday, when these numbers come out, talk about this transitory phrase that we keep hearing. I don't know how a 6% rate of inflation would be considered slow, but that's kind of the camp that we're in. So just because it pulled back one time in one number, we heard all this talk from the folks in the transitory camp saying that the inflation is still transitory or temporary. It's kind of interesting. Like, is this really temporary when inflation is still running that high? I might lean towards one side of that camp there. Anyways, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is that this week we had initial jobless claims come out today at 375,000. But more importantly, to kind of shoot those folks in the transitory camp maybe right back down, producer price indexes, so on the other side of this equation, were up 1% this month. I mean, that's huge, right? It was the same as last month. Both were huge numbers. I think it's hard to say that things are transitory from one number alone, but then we also the next day just kind of like slap that right back down. So very interesting to watch. Get ready for next week. We got a lot to cover next week. We got retail sales. The Fed minutes are coming out. And maybe more importantly, we have our quarterly webinar coming up here next Thursday, 8/19 at 5 p.m. As you can tell through today and a lot of our conversations lately, the focus has really been on inflation over the past 6 months or so. So we're really going to focus on inflation in our webinar. We're going to talk about how this impacts you, how to kind of prepare for your planning strategies, how to prepare your portfolio, how it fits into the bigger picture and all that good stuff. So we're going to skip the question of the week this week so that we can touch on it a lot more next week. We'll cover all that in about a 30-minute period. It's at 5 p.m. Again, really focused on inflation focus on taxes and how all that fits into the bigger picture. So this will be a great opportunity if you guys can join us. I'll actually include the registration link in the comments below, but if you can join us, please do. It's a great opportunity to ask any questions that you have, soak up some information for about a half hour or so, and just kind of get an idea of how all this inflation really plays into the bigger picture. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys all there. Until next week, we'll see you at the same place, same time next Thursday at 3 as well. But we hope to see you at the webinar on August 19th. And we will have a lot of news for you here next week as well as we kind of touch on the Fed minutes. So see you next Thursday. Have a great day.